The Houston Texans can't change their offensive line from what they put on the field against Miami. And if it works, they might have solved two offseason problems by fixing an in-season problem. Titus Howard made the move from right tackle to left guard against the Miami Dolphins, and the Texans inserted rookie tackle Blake Fisher into right tackle. And the performance from the offensive line from a pass blocking perspective was pretty decent. There were a couple of moments that they probably would want back, but it was solid enough. It certainly wasn't as bad as it's been a couple of different times for the Texans this year. Like when you think about the Green Bay game, the Indianapolis game in Houston, the Jets game, those were really, really, really bad performances by the offensive line. That's not what they did on Sunday against the Miami Dolphins. So Titus Howard at left guard, Blake Fisher at right tackle, and the best five offensive linemen is what DeMeco Ryans said they were trying to do with that alignment. And it kind of makes sense that you would want to see what Fisher has at right tackle. They spent a second-round pick on him, and Titus Howard has some experience at left guard. And DeMeco Ryans, when he's talked about the move for Titus Howard, he used the word sacrifice. He used it again when he's talking about exactly what Titus Howard has to deal with at guard versus what he has to deal with at tackle. Take a listen.
For Titus moving inside, first off is, thankful to him for making that move and transition. And as you mentioned, he's been in there before, so it's not totally new to him. Just things happen a lot quicker on the inside than the outside, right? Titus has that power and size to handle the big rushers on the inside. So I think he's a really good fit for being in there. Is just understanding how quickly those games and things happen where you have a little more space on the outside. You got more space, a little bit more time. In the inside, just have to have quicker reaction time.
Now, I don't know about you, but sacrifice to me doesn't seem like it's a one-game situation. And now Kenyon Green is back, and they put him back at left guard, and they bump Titus Howard back out at right tackle. Sacrifice to me doesn't mean, hey, you're the left guard until Juice Scruggs is healthy, and then we'll kick you back out there at right tackle. Sacrifice to me feels like Titus Howard's got a chance and an opportunity, and maybe even this is the plan for the Texans to be the left guard for the rest of the regular season and the playoff run for this Texans team. And it's not a horrible idea. If indeed the best five players include Howard and Fisher, the only alignment that gets them both on the field with a healthy Laramie Tunsil at left tackle is Titus Howard at left guard and Blake Fisher at right tackle. And Howard's had some success at left guard. He's had some failures as well. And the first game back at left guard after playing right tackle for most of the season, it was fine, but you have to imagine there's going to be some building for Titus Howard if he stays at that left guard position. He played it in 2024 or 2023, for the Texans when he came back from his hand injury out of necessity, and it was okay. Juice Scruggs last year was actually rated out better than him, according to Pro Football Focus. And 2 seasons ago, Titus Howard had an incredible game at left guard against a guy that he's going to face this weekend in Chris Jones. The Texans tried Howard out at left guard for a couple of games. One of those was against the Kansas City Chiefs, and Howard produced a really impressive performance for him. He only allowed one hurry and one pressure in that game, and he kept Chris Jones, the all-world defensive tackle for the Kansas City Chiefs, to his lowest pass rush rating, according to Pro Football Focus, of the season that year. So there is some talent. There is some acumen to what Titus Howard can put together at left guard. And even when DeMeco Ryans talked about it, he talked about a guy that it sounded like is sticking at left guard for a little while. And the Texans should do this. Kenyon Green at left guard was not good this season. They shouldn't put him back at left guard because he's healthy. Juice Scruggs is hurt right now, but by the time his foot is healed up, I have a suspicion that we'll have seen enough from Titus Howard that we feel pretty good about Howard being the left guard for this team over Juice Scruggs, and you can figure out what Scruggs' role is in the offseason a little bit later on, or figure out what his role is actually in the offseason and worry about that a little bit later on. And of course, there's also the Blake Fisher factor. Fisher, if he plays well at right tackle, which he was solid against the Miami Dolphins, he's got a tougher task with the Ravens and the Chiefs as the next couple of games. But if Fisher is solid at right tackle and Titus Howard's good at left guard, there's no reason to make any changes once Scruggs is healthy. Certainly can't make the change just because Kenyon Green is now healthy. Hey, come here. PrizePicks, best, easiest way to play daily fantasy. Play your first 5, get $50. We'll put an entry together at the end of this video. Hang around. One game of Titus Howard, I could tell he has a little bit more juice there at left guard than Kenyon Green does at left guard and what Green was able to do this season. So you keep that group for the rest of this season and the playoff run. And if it solidifies, if Howard shows that he can make it work at left guard, he's already taken care of from a contractual standpoint. Guards can play for a very long time. It's not tackle. It's not ideal for him, but he'd be one of the highest compensated guards via average annual value if he made the full-time move to guard. That also allows the Texans to start right tackle Blake Fisher and have him be the right tackle for the team heading in to 2025. Two big questions for the Texans next year answered while trying to figure out this year. Who's going to be the left guard? Well, Titus Howard. And when do you get Blake Fisher on the field? How do you get Blake Fisher on the field? Well, Titus Howard's the left guard now, so Blake Fisher is the right tackle. It then also gives the Texans the opportunity to not have to take huge financial hits in the offseason, moving on from guys so that they can play younger, cheaper, maybe better guys. If you wanted to move on from Titus Howard, it would be cost prohibitive. It's not impossible, but it's not fun to pay a guy to do nothing or to trade a guy and eat a bunch of money as he goes and plays for somebody else. And plus, in this scenario, he's figuring it out at left guard. It allows the Texans to take a big financial hit if they want to move on from, say, Shaq Mason at right guard. It's been some of the worst football of Mason's career this season. And if the Texans wanted to move on from him and Howard and Kenyon Green, all of a sudden you're spending a whole bunch of money getting rid of guys to not play for you, and you still have to go and replace those players. But if Howard fills the left guard spot, you could move on from Mason. And then you've got a couple of in-house options. Maybe Juice Scruggs at right guard, Jared Patterson at right guard. Nick Broker's been on this team for almost 2 years now. Maybe he gets an opportunity to be the right guard. Or you could go out there, find a different veteran to hold down that right guard spot, maybe draft a long-term replacement for that veteran at the guard spot as well. You see how kind of the moving parts of the offseason get solved if this in-season move starts to work. Now, obviously, I'm putting a big if there at the beginning of all this. It's going to be if Titus Howard gets it locked down at left guard, which I have a belief based on the way that D'Amico Ryans talked about Howard and what he has showcased at times at guard that he could be better than what Juice Scruggs was this year, better than Scruggs last year, and could solidify that left guard spot at the very least for one more season, maybe 2 more seasons if he shows a knack for blocking at that left guard spot. That also gets Blake Fisher on the field, and it gives the Texans opportunity to move on from one expensive player and not having to move on from multiple expensive players to readjust their offensive line. So we're all watching left guard like we have been all season long, but this time we're watching left guard with a little bit of hope that Titus Howard can put down some roots there at left guard, and you can have yourselves a left guard for the rest of the season, as well as a left guard for next season as well. What say you? Cockamamie plan? Crazy? Doesn't make any sense, Cody. What are you thinking? Let me know in the comment section down below. On your way down there, throw me a thumbs up on the video. Subscribe to the channel if you haven't already. Don't forget to visit my friends at PrizePicks, the best, easiest way to play daily fantasy. At the end of this video, we'll put together a PrizePicks entry together, so hang around for that. Don't forget to check out Houston football, where I do all my writing about the Houston Texans. Appreciate you watching the video. Hope you enjoyed it, and I can't wait until we talk Texans again soon. I told you we put together a Prize Picks. Prize Picks, the best, easiest way to play daily fantasy. Play your first 5, get $50 when you use my code Stoots, Stoots. The link's in the description down below. It's so easy to play Prize Picks. You can do all sorts of sports, basketball and hockey, but I love football. And let's get that Thursday night matchup with the Chargers and the Broncos going. This one's real simple for me. We're going to go 2 passing touchdowns apiece for these guys. Very simple, 2 passing touchdowns apiece. We got to get both guys throwing 2 passing touchdowns. We can turn our 5 into almost $20. Real simple. You're rooting for offense. I know there's some tough defenses, but hey, Bo Nix has had some big games. Obviously, we know Herbert can sling it. It's a very simple one. Put a nice, easy Prize Picks in. If that was your first entry, you played your first $5, you'd have $50 on the way. Use my code Stoots, Stoots, when you get signed up. The link in the description down below. Play your first 5. You don't even have to win. Get $50 thanks to my friends at Prize Picks, the best and easiest way to play, you guessed it, daily fantasy.